Okay, so I started the recording, which is good because I totally forgot to do that at the last RCC meeting.
Ooh.
It's fine. It turns out that I didn't realize this, but the MMC TV I don't think they had the capacity this month to actually process the RCC stuff, which has never really been recorded and posted. But yeah, I didn't realize the incredible amount of work they do over there. It's impressive. They do a lot of great work, and they're booked out for the month, especially with holidays and stuff. Yeah, so they're gonna start doing RCC stuff in January.
Not just meetings either, right? They're doing like
They do all kinds of
productions.
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's a great service.
What kind of productions do they do? Like make videos for you?
They would. Yeah,
I'll take the minutes. if you
Yeah,
want.
we could get them
Oh,
up that.
that would be great.
Do
Yes, you want
something.
to do minutes?
I'm timekeeper as usual.
Okay, great.
It's okay with everyone.
So we got timekeeper, we got a minute taker, and we've got a quorum. We got 6 here. First order of business, let us approve the December 8th minutes. Motion to approve.
Propose an amendment.
Okay.
Well, 2 corrections of people's names. Sonia is spelt incorrect. It should be a Y, S-O-N-Y. 2 occurrences of that, and there's a reference to John Haddon and Janine, and that I believe should be John Haddon and Jeanette Malone.
Thank you. Elliot's got 2 T's.
And Jeanette. Otherwise, they're good minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're missing a T on Elliot. If it's only the names, everything, I mean, that's pretty good. Okay, so
that's
yeah,
the first, you made the motion. I already propose it. Anyway, I propose approval of the amended minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Dan?
Yeah, please have a few more, as many as you want. Any further discussion other than the name corrections?
Why 2 T's, Brad?
Why not?
It's my grandfather. Why 2 L's? My grandfather used to tell me, you know how much time you could save over your life if you.
Right.
He wasn't an Elliot. He was my mother's father.
Okay, so no other adjustments? Okay, all in favor?
I
All right, unanimously approved with those minor name edits. So yeah, if you just whenever you have a chance to make those, kick them my way, and then, or you can just change the spelling and then CC, you can send them to Duncan directly if you want, or you can send them to me and I'll forward them to Duncan.
Okay, I didn't bring my computer with me, so.
Oh, that's fine. Do you want me to shoot you an email as a reminder, or you got it?
I think you better.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to get better about making sure that I write down all my action items as they come up in the meeting, because even if I wait a couple days, I'm like, okay, what were the things that I promised that I would do, like for me? So I'm gonna do a better job starting with this. Okay, next up. Any additions or changes to the agenda?
Maybe, are we planning it ending at 8:30 tonight?
Yeah, that's sort of been the plan. I know the meeting said, well, this says 6 to 8:30, but the thing that I think Duncan sent out for all the townwide meetings, I think said 6 to 8, but the plan has been 6 to 8:30 until we're done with the management plan.
Yeah.
One of these days, I'm going to make a motion to change that back.
Yeah. I mean,
If I can get a majority vote for that.
yeah, I
Are you
mean,
making a motion?
Soon, yes.
Not tonight.
all we gotta do is finish I feel like once we get the management plan done, we can go back to 1 meeting a month. It could be 2 hours and, life will be good. But until then, I guess we're gonna stick with this, unless otherwise noted. Okay, so next item, Richmond Town Report is coming up. Ian was kind enough to write up a draft for the Richmond Town Report, and that's included in the packet. Brad and I made a couple of minor adjustments, but the version is included in the packet is mostly Ian's work, and thank you for writing that up.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I suppose, Ian, if you want to just say a couple words about it, and then we can discuss if we want to make any changes before we plan on sending it to the town.
It was fairly easy thing to write. I just looked at last year's report and cut out everything that didn't apply and kept things that did apply or modified them. And then I just ran through the minutes of our meetings to see, significant occurrences. And I believe I got them all, or at least all that should be recorded in the town report. So if everyone, I hope people would just agree that's a good report.
I read it, I already sent my thoughts, and as did Brad, so
Yeah.
looks good to me. Does
Yeah,
anyone
me
else
too.
here have any thoughts or suggestions?
It's actually the second time that this committee has submitted a report, which was an omission in the past. We really should be out there in the town report.
Right.
Actually, of course, last year there was a glitch because it didn't end up in the printed copy, but
Oh, interesting.
we should be good this year, and let's hope it's, keeps people interested, that people read the report and learn something from it.
And there's quite a bit here that we got done, so
Yeah.
I know some people tend to have some gripes with the speed at which this committee is operating, but in addition to all the good work we've done on the management plan, there's been plenty else going on as well. So I think it's helpful so that people can see, like, this isn't a committee that's just wasting time. It's like, we're getting a lot done. All right, well,
We need a motion to accept this?
yeah, I think we should make a motion to approve this as written to send along for inclusion in the Richmond Town Report.
Ooh.
Does someone?
One thing I just, quick. Select board is one word,
Yep.
former, okay. So it's one. The very last line on page 1, select board could be one word,
Oh, yeah,
minor.
it's one word up above,
Oh, good.
but then, yeah, I guess maybe it's two later.
Oh, yeah.
It's only just separate ones.
We might also be able to get a picture in. Did I mention anything?
You suggested that.
Yeah,
And I thought,
I don't have anything
do you
new.
have any good ones? There's some good ones on the website.
Yeah,
Do we have any?
nothing.
I couldn't
I don't know
find
if
any
we have
good
a
A
ones.
photograph of the first day of deer season with all the cars.
I did.
That just
That-
speaks to
Yeah, I do have that.
active use of the forest.
I- One day I saw a guy walking out with a
You got a
turkey
picture?
too. And
Somebody does.
I.
I think Brad does, or
Oh,
I
yeah.
do.
So that's perfect. I guess you don't even need permission. It's public property, so. Well, if we get those game cameras up, then, if we have
Right.
monitoring, we can just take our
Okay.
selection.
Yeah,
So do we want to include a photo?
Sure.
I don't have any. I wish I had taken one from maybe the either the walk we did with Brandon or the walk we did with Tina, because those also would have been nice to
Right.
include, but.
right. I've got a generic one. It's like a view. And like from Dana's climb. The day we were up there doing something with the bench or
We also, I took photos and I have them.
when you were
of-
mowing, after the mowing.
After we finished mowing, Jimmy and I,
Oh, you did?
towards Camel's Hump.
Oh, you sent those, yeah.
Yeah.
Then I got.
Then that one of those might work. It's black
Okay.
and white, but I mean,
Vintage.
minor color, it'll be submitted in black and white.
Oh, they print color sometimes.
Oh, they do? Okay.
So usually I've sent, for land trusts, I've sent both.
All right,
So
so
do you want to send,
Let me see if I have one, right?
yeah,
I
do
may have a shot of that.
you want to send a couple photos and I
I
can
will.
just pick one, or?
yep, I'm gonna make
You
a
can
note,
pick one.
photo to,
Or you can just find your favorite and send it along, and then I can
yep,
append it, or Ian can append it to the document, and then
Yep.
you can send it off.
I
Ian,
left
did
my
you-
phone at home, so.
Okay. Do you want me to put a reminder to email you as well about that?
Remember, the deadline is provisionally January 6th, so before our next meeting.
Brad has my photos because I sent them to him.
Okay.
So is there a
Oh, that's
motion
right.
to accept this Ian's report? I'll make the motion.
Okay. Great, so we have a motion and a second, and then Brad had mentioned we would like to simply change the second occurrence of select board in the document from 2 words to 1 word,
Mhm.
and we would like to add a picture. And we'll just tack that on at the end. There's plenty of space there in that second page. Any other suggestions or comments? Okay, all in favor to approve?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. So unanimously approved. I guess I'll follow up with you two on the image. And Ian, did you want me to send it or do you want to send it?
If you're gonna pick a photograph, then would you do that? Just
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I can change.
As co-chair.
Okay.
That shows the mown field and the mountain. I don't know. That's worth. I'll look at those. So anyway, that's September 19th I took.
Okay, and who do I send that to, Ian?
I'm
Who
sorry.
do I send it to?
Oh.
Does it go to Josh or-
Town clerk,
To the
to
town clerk.
Suzanne.
Yeah.
Okay. One, two, three. All right, next up. Trailforks update and adding trails to Trail Finder.
I saw it.
So, Trailforks update. So last meeting, if I recall correctly, I had not heard back from Richmond Mountain Trails. As it turns out, they did email me back, but they did not put me on the email. So there was a dead thread in which I was responded to promptly, but I was left off the thread. So Merrick actually found it. He was on that same thread, found it, and then forwarded it to me. And then we had a little discussion. So they seemed totally cool with our plan, which was basically we would have, some type of admin account. I was introduced via email to the Trailforks admin. I think he actually works for Trailforks. And I'm going to get like some sort of instruction from him on how to, get the admin privileges and make the changes. That hasn't happened yet, but it sounds like the plan is we'll have the access to do, whatever we want on there for our trails. But then the understanding is, unless otherwise noted, Richmond Mountain Trails, if they're updating all the trails in the area, that they would sync the ACF trails with the rest of the neighboring trails, because I think that's better for everybody, that they're all locked in together so we don't drive a bunch of traffic to one place.
Can they give you privileges without you being a member for 8 years or something? And
Yeah.
and because you had mentioned you had to work up the thing.
There's a couple routes. Like one is like if you're a member and you do a lot, you sort of gain reputation by using the app a lot and submitting your own, reviews and pictures and tracking your use of various trails.
Yeah.
The other way is by reaching out to a local trails association who knows the right people. So I'm getting connected with the guy who is going to be able to give me access. So I'll let you know once I have more information there. There was also Merrick had mentioned that, well, in part of this, I can't remember if I mentioned this last time, but RTC was interested in getting, there's like a Richmond Trails map where like ACF trails are not on them. So we had discussed trying to get the ACF trails on there, which I think is a no-brainer because it's, town-owned land and trails. So I don't remember who needs to publish that map. And then Merrick had also followed up because we were talking in this thread about getting the ACF trails on the state E911 trail database, which seems like a good thing to have them into the state mapping system. So he's going to meet with Richmond Rescue to get some more input about, I guess, how that works and what would be useful for the town. So more on that later, but there's no action at this time. But Merrick's probably going to reach out and I'll get something added to the agenda whenever he's ready to discuss further. But I figured we probably want to talk about that. And then finally, Ian, you had mentioned some concerns about using Trailforks as like the sole source of information for trail management for ACF. So I figure we should probably discuss a little bit about what that looks like and how we want that to work. So my understanding, or my take on this is that we know people, bikers are going to be using Trailforks when they're trying to find trails in Richmond. So it would be foolish for us not to have a Trailforks account to manage those trails, because we know that's where the bikers are going to be. So we kind of got to meet them where they're at. Other folks might use other platforms, like All Trails or Trail Finder, or I don't know, there may be other things that people are using. So I'm certainly not opposed to us managing trails on other platforms as well. But I think that we absolutely should continue to move forward with the plans with Trailforks, both because it's going to get used by bikers, and I don't think we can really force them to use something else. And two, I don't know if apps like Trail Finder and All Trails have the ability for us to easily manage and open and close trails. And so it's useful for us to have at least one platform where we can say, hey, this trail is not suitable right now. So those are my thoughts, but I'd love to hear what other folks have to say. Ian?
Well, you mentioned that I'd had concerns, and immediately there are some errors in what is posted at Trailforks. As I understand it, then we have a mechanism for correcting those errors that I think we're aware of or have been listed, trail names and maybe that's the main concern as I remember. So that's immediate. But then there's my general concern that Trailforks is sort of a free for all. Well, I thought it was it seemed like a free for all, that it's a social driven website where people who are not necessarily authorized by us can make input. But it sounds as if, as long as we do have people who have been authorized by this committee to put input and monitor it and maintain the accuracy and quality, that's good. And so you, Sam, that you're one. I think Jimmy Cochran is another who presumably has access by already having access to other trails. And then you mentioned Merrick of Richmond Mountain Trails. So there are, as I understand it, then 3 individuals that that we can trust, we can communicate with. The thing that is lacking then is an ability for public to submit trail reports or problems or whatever. I don't see a contact information at Trailforks. So that just seems to be a shortcoming of Trailforks. That doesn't, in general, it doesn't have, or overall, it just never has that as a component of a trail system entry. So those are my concerns, but I'd also like to address the Trail Finder, which I did a little research into.
Yep. Okay.
Trail Finder, I know very well. It is used at the town website, at the Trails Committee page on the town website. There's a list of, I think, about 5 trail systems, which are entries into Trail Finder. Now, Trail Finder is, I think it's maintained by Upper Valley Trails Association, and it has funding from New Hampshire State and from Vermont, one of the Vermont agencies. So it covers the 2 states, and it's very well controlled because it's maintained by this Upper Valley Trails Association, and with a subcontract to some mapping people who maintain quality by only accepting information from an authorized person. They have a standard format which includes contact information, who is responsible. They have maps which are downloadable by anybody, which is a strength. And then in the standard format, they identify permitted uses. You can send alerts for like a bridge is down or something like that, which currently hasn't been entered at Trail Finder at the sites that are at the town website, but probably should. And should have been. I personally have experience with Trailfinder because I was an authorized person who could enter trail systems. I did it for Richmond, but I went beyond Richmond and did some neighboring town work for some neighboring towns as a kind of volunteer activity. When I was on including when I was on Trails Committee here in Richmond. So I know it well. So final point really is that I sent a quick email to the Trailfinder saying, we have a new trail system, we have a new town forest in Richmond, it has trails. We might want to enter it as a trail system at Trailfinder. What's the process? I used to know it, but is it still the same? And I got a really detailed email back specifying all the components that we should provide as information to the Trailfinder people so that they could create a page and have it in the standard format, make sure it's complete, make sure it's authorized. So I wrote back saying, sounds good. I will ask to raise it at the next meeting of the Andrews Community Forest Committee.
Okay. Right.
How did Trail Finder become more popular? That's my word. I don't know if it is. Than how did Trailforks become sort of the leading edge around here versus Trail Finder? What?
Maybe
Are they competitive?
yeah, two reasons. One general is that it's a mountain bike. It's a site for mountain bike people, and they're a huge number, and they're very energetic and engaged people. So that's one general rating, and then the specific one locally is that I understand Richmond Trails Committee identified Trailforks as the website that they would use for trail condition reports, including closures.
I think the other thing worth noting is I believe that Trailfinder is regional. I think it's just Vermont and New Hampshire trail.
Vermont and New Hampshire, yeah.
Whereas Trailforks is recognized nationally, and
Okay.
they have mobile apps, and if somebody's coming to Vermont from out of state, they don't want 10 different apps for tracking trails. They want one app where they can track everything.
Yep.
And I think especially because it's geared towards bikers, it's got all the things that they're looking for, like what's the challenge rating of the trail, or like the difficulty, and like what kind of terrain is it, and what type of features, like biking features, will it have, and those are all built right into Trailforks. So I think if you're a biker, you might be like, hey, I want to go for a bike ride, but I don't want to go down something super steep or too technical.
Right.
And they can just hop on and say like, okay, this one only has, this is a rated green or like a blue or something, and I can handle this.
All over the world. It's not even just nationally, it's, you go to Germany,
International.
Mexico.
Wow.
Okay, well, yeah, that's. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to compete with something like that, right? I mean, I think it's got a lot of great features if you're a biker, or even if you're a hiker. I think a lot of folks like myself use all trails for hiking, but I think ultimately the point is we probably need to meet users where they're at. So if we can identify the few top applications that people are using to find trails, it would benefit us to make sure that we are on all of them. And if we're able to, have an admin account and help manage the trails, then we should. So I think we should also look into all trails. Like that's what I typically have used historically whenever I want to go on a hike.
Yeah.
And so I think the same thing applies. If we don't have any trails listed there, then we're kind of missing out on being able to represent those trails accurately to whatever users choose that over Trailfinder or Trailforks. So it sounds like I think there's no disadvantage to us getting on Trailfinder as well as all trails. We just might need a little bit more research, and we're in process on Trailforks, and it sounds like Ian's made some great progress on Trailfinder. Maybe I can do a little research separately on all trails and see if the trails exist and what the process is. Like I just don't know. Like I have a free account, but I wonder if there's a way to create a similar situation where it's like an admin style account where we're representing the town and the town trails. So I feel like we should have some say over how those trails are displayed, and but I don't know if they're even in there. So I can't really speak to that.
Well, two or three things. Ideally, we would have a member from Richmond Trails Committee on this committee that would provide the liaison.
Yes.
But I know the Trails Committee people, most of them, and I have served on that committee. So I believe that one of us, and I could do this, should communicate with the Trails Committee that just to tell them what we're doing and maybe what our concerns are. And maybe in connection with that, point out that they do have Richmond Trails listed at their website. And so if we get a posting, an entry, I should say, for Andrews Forest on Trail Finder, we should make sure that it's included in the website. And, there are things that we should communicate with each other. And sort of in that connection, I'd encourage committee members, who are interested in this to go to the website for the Trails Committee and look at the Trail Finder and, to get a sense of how it works for the Richmond Trails. I guess also in that connection, if I'm talking with Trails Committee, I would encourage them to get their website to show Trailforks. If that's what they're using, then they should make it known to the public that that's what they're using.
I could have sworn it was on there and then it disappeared. Didn't we click the RTC page? I thought was linked to Trailforks.
It is, yeah.
Well, it was, but then it somehow disappeared.
Oh, I think it may have been, I don't know if it was really part of Trailforks. There was a spreadsheet that listed all the trails and open, closed updates. And
and then it was
that's
like,
what
it was
they
like double
dropped.
linked, right?
Yeah, I think they dropped that and said, we're going to Trailforks, but I don't think they ever told anyone, at least not on that.
I think you're right. It was linked to the spreadsheet. And then if you click the spreadsheet, at the top of the spreadsheet, there was a link to Trailforks saying like Trailforks is accurate. I think that's what it was.
Well, so I guess two things that I'm volunteering for. One is to communicate with the Trails Committee about, where we're at on this. You've already been in contact with them, so maybe
I have. I can
jump
forward
in.
you the correspondence I've had with them. And then if you want to, I just talked to them about Trailforks. I also asked some general questions about, are there any other platforms that you're using? So I'll forward you the email, and then if you want to hop in and chime in, we can coordinate with them. But they sounded interested in working with us on, trying to sort of sync up and get things in a place where we all, know where the trails exist and where they're being managed. And it sounded like they wanted to make a couple of adjustments to their page on the Richmond town site as well.
I like that plan. And
Does,
and actually, well, then the second one would be, does the committee want me to make a draft of an entry for Trail Finder, which is, something I have experience with, and it's a website platform that I like. I think it's a good one. It's already being used by the Trails Committee. So my offer is to draft an entry,
A AFC page, basically.
a page for Trail Finder, and it can relate, about the ACF.
So would it be one page for all of ACF, or is it one page per trail?
It's based on a trail system.
Oh, okay.
So in our case, it would have a map that would show, former vast trail and access road and a few other things. And obviously we'd have to, the committee should agree what I'm talking about is a draft, and one of the elements of that draft would be which roads and trails actually do get shown on the map, because it's obviously sort of an invitation to people to use it.
Yeah.
So it would need to be, discussed and authorized by this committee before it would be submitted to draft.
Ground truth, maybe.
Do you know if it's possible to create, like a draft on that site? Like if you can kind of set it up but not publish it, and then we could look at it, review it, and then.
That's a good point. I think that can be done. I think one can start assembling a page and then at some point click publish, but prior to doing that, it's not public.
Mhm.
I can find out about that.
If you want to look into that, and then I would say, we shouldn't publish anything on there until, we have a chance to look at it as a group. But I like the idea of having a page rather than like 6 pages, one for each trail. And then, yeah, if there's a draft mode, then perfect. You can create a draft, we can do a screen share, we can look at it, we can make sure that there are no concerns, and then we can go live with it.
Yeah, so again, I mean, look at Trail Finder as listed at the town website at the Trails Committee page, and you know, if you want to get a sense of how it works and how it looks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so I don't use Trailfinder, and I just looked it up in my phone and it doesn't appear. So if you're a typical sort of
Trailfinder.info is the website address.
right.
There's no
but-
app, right? Just-
Yeah, exactly. There's gonna be a lot of us, the first thing we're gonna do is look for an app, and then if it's not there, we're not gonna find it, but we still should have a presence on it. If anybody's, we should go to all the spots that people are using. The trails are on all trails, and the same ones that are
Okay.
on Trailforks are on all trails.
Okay.
And BYCC trails are actually much more extensively covered in the all trails. I was just looking at them, right, than at Trailforks. And the way that RMT has their website organized is a link to each trail network in Richmond with the Trailforks maps right underneath it. So the driving range, Chamberlain and Preston Forest and Sip of Sunshine are all on RMT. Cochran's is separate because they're
Yeah,
not.
yeah, Richmond Mountain, that's Richmond Mountain Trails.
Yeah, and it goes
Yeah,
through
they have-
Trailforks with
they
it's
live-
sort of like an inlay on a different network. So I think we would probably have the same thing.
You're kind of zoomed into that section of the map,
Yeah,
but you're still on the whole live map, so you could scroll out or move over.
yes, that's
Okay.
correct. Yeah. And the other thing is you can have an exchange and a dialogue and a report on Trailforks. There's actually a funny little exchange in the Andrews Forest on Trailforks between Melissa Wooliver and somebody who had cut a tree to clear a path. And Melissa said, "Hey, don't do that without authorization. Contact the Andrews Forest." And the guy said, "Sorry."
remember.
So there is a way to post back and forth. Still, though, I think you're probably right that we probably need, I mean, you didn't say this, but I think it's a good idea to have somebody's contact info, AFC, at Richmond or whatever, at the trailhead, in case anybody wants to report the old fashioned way,
Yeah.
via email.
It's a good point, yeah.
Do any of the ones like Trail Finder notify you when the trails are open or closed the way Trailforks does?
The only way to do it on Trail Finder is to have an alert. You can send in a request, say, alert, bridge down on Old Jericho Road, something like that. And I don't remember how but it shows up if you go to the page for Old Jericho Road, then it would be the first thing you'd see. But somebody has to do it. You have to send it into Trail Finder Central. Individuals can't do it themselves.
Okay, so to wrap up, I'll continue to work on the Trailforks once I hear back from Willie, who's my contact. You'll continue to work on the Trail Finder stuff. I'll forward you the correspondence I had with the Trails Committee and what they know about the state of trail management on these apps in Richmond. And then I'll do a little bit more research into all trails to see how we manage those. Because if they have the same names as the ones in Trailforks, then we probably want to change those. So
They don't have names. I can't
Oh,
see names.
interesting.
Maybe I'm not reading it. I don't use all trails, so I don't really know about that, but it's not as evident as Trailforks.
Well, I'll take a look later.
See what you think. There's one other way, I mean, there's the old listserv approach where you sign up to get updates on trails. And I'm part of a couple of networks that will send out a trail and say, cleared on this trail, tree down over here, flood damage there. And there's, probably maybe 80 of us on a listserv that we get updates that's not on, some of the trails aren't even on, it's like private land,
Oh, okay.
on Trailforks. We could do that. Well, Underhill, but I mean, we could do something similar. Anybody who cares could sign up, and then whenever something happens, we could send out a notification in the way that Dan was implying. And I think, I really like it. Also because it makes me realize that somebody's out there working on this stuff, which I always appreciate.
That sounds like a good thing to coordinate with RTC on, rather than make it be just like an ACF only. It would be nice if it was sort of like a Richmond wide initiative. So maybe we discuss that at a future meeting, like especially if Ian and I will be talking with RTC about some of this stuff, then maybe that's a topic we can work with them on, because people are signed up, they probably want to know for all of Richmond, not just ACF.
Right.
So
Yep.
seems like there are some opportunities there.
Yeah, and that can be a useful way to push information out, you know, hunting season starts today, wear your orange, you know, flood damage, don't bother.
Ticks.
You know, we can use the help, we're gonna have a trail day, trail cleanup day.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
So it's a lot of ways to use that.
And
Yeah,
that's
that's
more of a push
Yeah,
notification
Yeah.
rather than going to the app.
exactly, yeah.
Some people may say, well, yeah, I know where that trail is and not go, and then
Yeah.
there's a tree down. Yeah. Yeah. Listservs are easy, right? Google lets you set those up
Yeah.
very easily, I think. Yeah, good.
Okay, cool. So moving on,
We're on time.
are we? We're back on time?
Well, actually, yeah, we started late, but the agenda says 6:50 for management plan and it's now 6:50.
But we haven't looked
Well,
at
we
the
got
buffer
one more.
map.
We got the mapping.
The
Oh,
buffer
I'm
map.
sorry. Oh, yes.
So we're 20 minutes behind. But that's fine. That's why I put approximate times. So yeah, we should talk about mapping. So continued from last or 2 weeks ago. I think most folks, I think everyone was here, right? So we kind of understand what's going on here, and we had talked about how do we want to represent the sensitive area map. And so Ian did some more work on it, and yeah.
And Brad got it. A draft printed.
Yes, and we have this lovely map. That, yeah, it looks great.
We have nobody out in Zoom land, right?
I don't think, no, I think it's just us and Ian signed in,
Okay,
but
so
yeah.
you don't have to project it.
But for the recording, maybe we could
Oh,
sort
project
things
it.
up through.
Oh,
I have things lined up if you can authorize me to.
Sure, do you want a screen screen? Yeah, normally, I'm not used to doing it on this machine. I usually just do it from my own machine, which I guess I'll join because I'm gonna have to share the management plan in a second. Yeah, if you request Ian, I'll give you approval. So,
Bruce's trails.
Those on there too?
No, I'm trying to figure out where they come. Is that?
That's
the-
it. That is, yep. So I like that trail. Yeah,
is it gonna stay zoomed in like that? Do you want me to?
it's not. It's good. Because the western vast. It shouldn't be a dot plot. It should be.
So this is a buffer, a map showing buffers in pink, draft, and it's the one that Brad has printed.
Right. But that's the utility road.
I got you. And then what does it look like? I've never been on the inside. What's it look like?
Well, it's growing back up, but it's not a steep. It's a log. It's growing back up with small trees.
Okay, so yeah, so we've got the map with the buffers that we discussed for the layers that we have stuff for, because we don't at this point have any maps that have, say, broken ledges, which is something we've talked about, which if you're going to put up trail in, we'd need to verify with sort of boots on the ground. But for the stuff we do know about, we've got the dry oak here, we've got that main wildlife corridor, we've got the hemlock mapped, but no buffer, right? Because if for summertime use, it would
That's a
be
seasonal buffer, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. So this map at least doesn't show anything around the hemlock, and then it's very nice to see the smaller buffers around the wetlands and
And the streams.
because before the map we had really big buffers on them, and all of a sudden the whole thing just kind of turned into buffers everywhere. So this kind of shows that obviously the middle to central and the western side isn't a good place for trails, but I don't know, by the looks of it, based on the rules that we've set, it seems like there is potential for responsible trail development in the eastern section. I guess this doesn't show slope, So that's a different thing to navigate, but it is nice to see sort of a visual representation of what we've been talking about in the trail parameters.
There's a couple of things not on this map
Okay.
that maybe should be, and I think I've referred to them in the past, that there's a shapefile that Ethan Tapper produced, which has more zones marked than this, and I managed to get, I'm at that shapefile was difficult to use, but I've worked on it and I can now identify some things that I think should be added to this, and well, specifically some other forested areas and also wildlife corridor.
Okay.
So I actually have some maps set up that illustrate those points if and when we should get to that.
So you want to show those now, or for your talking about future meetings?
Yeah, and I know that Dan has, information and background because coordinated with John Haddon to make a map previously that showed different sensitive zones on the forest. So yeah, I mean, I have actually 3 other maps that I could show real quickly just to illustrate those points.
Okay, well, yeah, right. Do you have a comment? And then we could maybe take a look at the other maps and
Sure.
just see what they look like.
So I have 2 quick ones.
Sure.
Could we consider extending the red line, which is the trails, to include the old Vast Trail, which is the utility
yep.
road, and bring it up to the boundary line?
Boundary, yeah.
Because it truly is
Yep.
I mean, it's a road. It's not.
Yes.
And then I might ask the same,
So this one here,
becomes red.
yeah, would become red basically up
So
to,
right where your hand is.
yeah.
That's an error with remnant, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then go back down, take your hand, oh, you're almost there. Now take a right or go southeast on the red line, on the
Okay.
power line.
Yeah.
Go along the power line,
this
right
is-
to there.
Yep. Yeah.
Should we, because right now the power company is going through what was the fenced in meadow. And so now the public is doing the same. And that, I think, we should join those.
I don't think there's any problem with it because the power line might come through and clear it again in the future. And it's usually walkable except for in the middle of the summer when it's just overgrown. I mean, you can
Right.
still walk it. It might just be a little bit ticky at times, but I walk that as well. And it's really nice to be able to connect without
Mhm.
walking all the way around.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I agree. I think we should connect that as well.
Right, and I don't know where that line. I guess there must be a culvert or something. Cause I think the road goes to the southeast of that, what they're calling a little wetland.
that's that tiny. Yeah,
What?
It's right there.
yeah.
But I think the road must go over that.
It might, or it might, how it actually drops off pretty sharply. If you're walking up, this is, which one's the landing? This is like the landing's like around here, right? So if you were taking the parking lot
Yeah.
and coming up to the
Mhm.
power lines, on the right here, it drops off
Quite
pretty
a bit,
steeply.
and then it goes
So-
back up again.
It does, yeah. But this section maybe, is
Yeah.
is where the wetter area is, just because it
Could
drops
be.
off, so the water's cooling.
Yeah, could be, yeah. So those are my,
Okay.
those are my 2 suggestions that,
I think it's obscured by the pink area, which is like in the foreground of the map.
right,
Behind that pink area, under the pink area where it goes over the power line corridor, there's actually some wetlands marked, and I think one can observe that, if you do walk up from the old Vast under the power lines,
right.
there is a section where it
Yeah,
gets a little damp and it's actually identified as a wetland
yeah, yeah.
on one of the maps, maybe on this, probably on this one if it was visible.
And that's a utility road generally,
Uh,
under the pink.
yeah, I mean, you mean the red section that's
Yeah, the red section that's hidden under the
right
pink.
here?
Yeah, and that would
And so if
continue,
you-
yeah, right through there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And is the reason why the red trail is blocked there, it's covered there, but it's not covered in the other buffer area, is it just because it's a layer issue where the wildlife corridor and the wildlife corridor buffer is just at a higher layer? Because like I noticed we can see the red in other
That's
sections.
because, I can speak to that.
Okay.
The red trails that are on here
Yep.
were the original ones that Arrowwood included on their map.
Okay.
And I never understood why they left off the existing old vast trail that goes all the way up
To the west.
to the west.
Okay. So it's not cut off by the buffer.
I never understood why they left off the part at the bottom there, but
Yeah, here.
it's not cut off. It's just not there.
Just not there. Okay, so we'd have
Yeah.
to get another shape file or draw it in somehow.
Yeah.
Okay. I think what Brad just pointed out is that, yeah, that at least one of the wetlands is identified on the red line there under the power lines, stops before it gets to that
Mhm.
blue colored wetland on the power line easement.
What
You
is
could
the,
drive it in a car or a truck, and you're not gonna get your wheels wet, because it's all been industrially improved.
It's interesting that they did that because normally when they improve those sections, they usually flag the wetlands area and they just put up decking and then they remove it.
Now, this particular job was much more invasive.
I see. I guess they.
They went to town.
Okay. Well, I know they did basically the same thing in the Valley View neighborhood where they just
Right.
threw down like landscaping cloth and gravel all the way.
Right.
It was like a mile's worth. I
Right.
was surprised that they were willing to spend that much time and money to turn it into like an actual road.
Right.
But they got me. Julie?
Velco.
Well, I just have some questions, because the colors are a little hard to see, this is the
Yeah.
wildlife corridor, correct?
So yeah, this is the wildlife corridor with the buffer, the
Oh, I
300-foot
see.
buffer around it.
I see.
And these
Actually, that was
guys are dry oak.
These are dry oak, yep, so, yeah, these are a little easier to see on the screen, but yeah, the projector, so this is a dry oak, up top, this is a dry oak right here. This is a dry oak. This is a dry oak, this is dry oak, this one too, and then this one too.
These are streams.
Yeah, so I think the solid blue is the perennial stream, and the dash blue is the intermittent streams. And then we got the wetlands here in the blue. And then, yeah, hemlock is green with no buffer because it's seasonal.
And I mean, I know you were just putting lines on the shape files and everything, but we would only have jurisdiction inside of this black line, correct?
Yes.
And I was just looking on Trailforks and right in the stuff that Bruce and Merrick have done comes in right about here, right?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So it comes sort of down and around.
Yeah, it might come like here and then, yeah, it might actually ride
Right.
this black line.
Yeah.
Cause I don't think it tees in this way. I think it tees in this way. Yeah.
And let me see here, so I'm looking for perennial stream buffer, so this is 100 feet, this is 300 feet, correct?
Yes.
You know, the stream has a 50-foot buffer. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and interestingly, I think this is the other wetlands that I was like thinking about.
That old
It's
beaver.
pretty small, yeah, like likely old beaver pond. Just pretty small, all things considered. It's also interesting. I guess it's because we're only looking at inside the bounds of the forest here.
Yeah.
Because this is a bigger wetland than this one. I was kind of surprised to see how big that one is.
I see what you're saying.
Well, it seems like a big stain here, even, is that just a function of scale, or is that just 100 feet smushing together?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't really tell what's going on there.
Yeah.
A wetland under there maybe, or, that wouldn't.
And what did we end up, remind me what we ended up with wetlands, at least tentatively last time?
Wetlands were, let me just. pull it up.
100, I think.
Yeah, so I think wetlands were what, 50? Oh, or no, it was 100 except for during the spring. Let me just get it up so I'm not misquoting.
We did 100?
We did wetlands, yeah, so class 3 50-foot, class 2 100-foot, vernal pools 300-foot, and then we have the temporal the seasonal adjustment. So closed trails within 300 feet of class 2 wetlands in the spring, which is March 1st through May 31st. I need to correct that because right now it says May 31st.
Can you repeat that?
Basically it's class 3, 50 foot, class 2, 100 foot, vernal pools, 300 foot. And then any class 2 wetlands, which normally has the 100-foot buffer, we are going to close trails within 300 feet from March through May. So March, April, May, they'd be closed because of the reasons we discussed with the wildlife activity.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when we have the big grand seasonal trail openings that pretty much happen statewide, things that it would go back to just the 100 foot for the wetlands.
Okay, and Ian, what is on there right now? These look,
Sorry.
are these 300 footers? Are these 50 footers? What season did you make them for?
Those look like 100s to me.
These look like 100 footers. What about these guys? Are these 50s getting all mushed together?
Those are vernals.
Oh, those bundles?
Oh, okay. This, yeah, I think this
Yeah.
is a vernal.
But the
and
ones
then
of- the
this
one-
one's not.
That area above there, though, that I wonder about that too,
You
Julie.
color the,
Yeah.
is the vernal layer on here, Ian? I don't see that color.
I don't either.
I don't either. I will say that
I know it's hard to distinguish.
the maps that John Haddon was producing had pretty good color choices. Like it seemed more like clearer to me to see, like each thing looked very distinct in like what color was chosen, where it's also not helping that this projector probably needs a new bulb or something. Maybe if we turn the lights off, it'd be
Oh,
easier to see,
yeah.
but I can see a little bit better on the screen here.
There's a big
I
difference.
still can't really see vernal pool color on here, but.
Do you see the one in the north there on yours?
Oh, well, I think it's underneath,
Oh, it must be.
I think it's underneath the wildlife. Oh, there we go.
That's a little bit.
A little better. But still, I think part of it's just the projector, because this yellow looks awfully similar to this.
Yeah, they'll dry out.
So if you come here and look at the screen, you'll see, you know, this looks like green and that looks like brown. I mean, still, they're pretty close, but you can tell a little bit more easily than on the
Yeah.
projector.
And you think these are vernals?
one
No,
is-
they don't look, those look like this color.
The one right above the trail is. Those are the vernals. These must be just wetlands, I guess. This I wonder about with you, Julie. too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
this
is.
Yeah, but I think, I don't think the vernal layer is on here, because even if you look at this.
The
this
color.
layer, it doesn't.
But what's interesting is this looks like a 300-foot buffer.
It
to me.
does.
So this, I think, is the vernal, and it's
Okay.
got the 300-foot buffer. Up here, it's probably the same thing. See this little bulge that comes
Yeah.
out? So we've got our main wildlife corridor,
Yeah,
and on the left here, we've got our 300-foot buffer. But what's going on here?
Yeah.
I think this is part of the 300-foot buffer, because there is a vernal pool right in this,
little pool that's got.
right in the bottom of this notch is like
Yeah.
where one of the known vernal
Okay.
pools is. So I think that's what's happening here. So I don't know. I guess I trust the graphic designer
Yeah.
to.
And this is just a start.
Well, I mean, the
Yeah.
other thing is, like, there's a lot of layers, so I know it's hard to represent, and it's also, if we're gonna make decisions, we need to make sure we've got all the layers in.
Good point. Yeah, or the ones that we have, because as I mentioned at the beginning, you know, we've created rules for ledges and talus slopes, but we don't have any maps that's showing that. So that's more of a boots on the ground type situation where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, it's not on the map. But then if you go to build a trail and you realize, hey, there's a bunch of broken ledge here, then maybe we need to bump the trail by, you know, a few feet.
Right.
Ian, did you have a comment?
I'd like to show, excuse me, I'd like to show another few maps, two
Oh,
or three
yeah.
maps. Well, but that indicates some things that may be missing from here.
Okay.
So if I stop sharing,
The lights off is
I
kind of
know.
nice.
Gonna ask, everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
It's
I don't mind.
candles.
Exactly, it's like, I feel like I'm in a movie theater. And they can, I mean, the recording still shows us pretty well, so.
That's amazing. Isn't it?
Yeah, I'm surprised that it's actually that light, because I feel like it's a lot darker in here than it appears on.
Yeah. That's, those nighttime, game cameras are pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Right?
like the backup on your car.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, mine was covered in salt.
Yeah.
okay.
I always have to remember when I'm getting in my car to wipe off the camera.
Me too.
Okay.
Is there a way to get that screen shared of?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, something's changed here. I don't know if it's
Yeah, sorry.
me or you. Okay, so this is the map that we've referred to, I think at the last meeting, which is called the John Haddon map. And it's a map that, as I understand, Dan and Jeanette Malone created in collaboration
Right.
with John Haddon, so Dan may have more accurate information than me, but this is showing some features which aren't in the draft map that I just showed. The draft map I showed, it depends on the information from Arrowwood, from their shape files. But this shows a couple of features which are not present. One is there are some light blue, the legend isn't showing it
Oh, sorry.
completely, but the light green rather, the sort of olive green, yeah, those areas are identified as hemlock, and they're more extensive than what we've got from the Arrowwood shape
Oh,
files,
yeah.
specifically to the left, yeah, to the west of the wildlife corridor. There's this big green area which the Haddon map identifies as
Yeah, here.
as hemlock, and I think it has been confirmed on the ground because that was the area where the spaghetti trails were. Am I right about this, Dan? You
Yeah,
remember this?
You
better?
are.
The other thing that's notable is that there's the stream on the extreme west of the Andrews Forest is shown as having two areas that are pink, identified as wildlife corridors.
Yeah, that
makes
sense that this would be a wildlife corridor as well.
So there's actually, and those features seem to come, as I understand it, from
Ethan
this map.
So there's some of those hemlocks that are on there, but there's a lot that are not. Is that what you're saying here? Yes.
This is a map that's at the town website, and it's created, but it's identified as forest stand map drafted by Ethan Tapper. That's in the top left-hand corner of that map. And so that is showing that green area, which actually in the legend, which I think is too small to see, that's identified as actually reserve zone rather than hemlock forest. So I'm not quite sure. Oh, there we go. Where my arrow is, that's identified as reserve zone.
He's got in there inventories of those areas, like
Okay,
that
so
little bit-
yeah, there may be some better documentation.
that
than just the
number
legend.
2, just above, where, right around where the cursor is.
Yeah, I don't understand. So what's interesting about this map is, so we are seeing the actual GPS photo. So you can actually, and because it was taken in the winter, you can actually see
Yeah,
where the hemlock is.
yeah.
So you can see like you got hemlock up
Oh,
here.
yeah.
What's interesting to me is it looks like this reserve zone here overlaps what clearly appears to be hemlock beneath it.
Mhm.
What's weird about this one is it doesn't look like there's much hemlock. There's a little bit here,
Yeah.
but over here it looks like there's not hemlock. So I don't really know what
I
reserve
think-
zone means.
I
Well,
think
but if you go back
that's where he
down,
doesn't want to
there's
cut.
reserve,
And
And then
reserve zone-
hemlock.
Yeah, hemlock. There's, oops, sorry.
The reserve is, that one you were just talking about, Julian, I think is part of the forest that got hammered real bad, and the reserve means just, let's let it grow back.
oh, they were logged heavily.
Yeah,
Oh, like
Okay.
before it was purchased?
that one
Yes.
was. Now, I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know about that other one closer to the central corridor.
So what does that mean for, I mean, we'll have to take that into consideration for either the
Yeah.
maps and or the like trail
Probably, you know what?
guidelines. I don't really know if
I
it,
don't think so. I think that's probably just
Yeah,
a forest
no-
reduction.
No oak in there.
yeah, I think it applies to forestry more than it applies to recreation. personally.
A lot of it does, but does have some recreation recommendations in his forestry report
Okay,
about those, and specifically about the reserve zones too, I think.
and do you recall what he said about
Not-
recreation in the reserve?
Okay, let me dig it up.
But so, saying like, you can see them.
Yeah, you can see it right on the map. It's interesting that like these, like some of these other spots didn't get designated. Maybe that's pine, not hemlock.
It's not hemlock.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe pine.
Could be
I know
just
this
slope.
is, I know this is hemlock. I love this section of the forest, but.
So as timekeeper, we're running over, but at the same time, this mapping is really one of the last missing pieces in section B6. So maybe we shouldn't worry about it too much, but if
Yeah.
we can have a little bit more time on the map. I do have one more map which
Please, yeah, I think
helps
this is
explain,
valuable.
I think, a number of these issues that the TAPA map is
One
introducing.
quick thing about that map, the previous one we just looked at, the vernal pool zones are those from VLT, and they're mainly aimed at forestry. So they go out total of 600 feet.
Yeah, I noticed, like, there's like
Where-
the inner and then there's the
Yeah,
outer ring.
right. And the inner is like, they say footpaths only, and then the outer is all the language is about how you got to be real careful if you're going to cut in there.
Gotcha.
Well,
If you're,
so this last map that I'm displaying,
excuse me.
I hope provides input into what Ethan Tapper has been generating. Because this is using a shapefile that's identified in the listing as Ethan stands. So the shapefile for Ethan, that's what is rendered here as the shapefile for Ethan stands. And using the legend from the map that we were just looking at, I then was able to color in the different regions. In the shapefile, they're not named, they're just regions, they're lines on a map. But using this legend, I could color them in. And what we see is that the section that we were just talking about, which is known to be, at least in part, Hemlock, is white on this map, which Tapper identifies as reserve.
Yeah, so
reserve forest. Yeah, but the color I think is, I thought was reserve zone. Yeah, I think the there's a problem with the legend that it shows as yellow. It should really show as white, because all his reserve zones are actually rendered as white on the map. But interestingly, to the west of the reserve, the second most westerly reserve zone. I wonder if I can get
This one?
Okay, there's is that me? No, there's me. The arrow is me. I'm pointing to a reserve zone. But now I'm pointing to a section that Tapper identified as red pine, which has been sort of one of the mysteries, I think, in the Arrowwood data. It's also identifying.
Well, what's the mystery about it?
Oh, what happened there? Is that my problem?
You might have clicked to the right or the left arrow or
I'll
something.
bring it up again.
What's the mystery with the red pine, Ian?
Sorry,
What's the mystery with the red pine?
Where is it mentioned? It's mentioned in our management plan.
It is, and we also put red pine in the trail development.
That's right. It's a potential buffered area, isn't
It
it?
is. That won't matter because I can tell you right now that red pine is on something that's like a 45-degree slope. It's like, it might be even, it's very, very steep. There's no way anyone's putting any trails in there. So you can go up that, if you go up the old Bass Trail as if you were going to the Kellys and you look up the slope to your right, you can admire the red pine.
That's right.
But, you know, it's I wouldn't recommend walking up there
Yeah.
unless you've got, spikes on.
Healthy still?
Seems it. I mean, yeah.
There's something after this, a scale that's after that.
Oh, interesting. I mean, it looks fine to me,
Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah,
not an arborist, so. And also, I'll admit, I've looked at the trees from afar, but I've not walked up and inspected the bark because it's not really the type of place you would really want to wander. So, yeah, I mean, it's nice to have it in the plan, just because it is something we should protect, but I don't think we're gonna run into any issues with anyone proposing a trail anywhere within the 300 feet. There's the grandfathered Bass Trail, which might dip into 300 feet, but I don't. What did we say for buffer on that? I guess we
It's in
said
that.
300 foot
yeah, it's like lumped in with.
with the dry
with the
oak.
oak,
Yeah. Yeah, it's lumped in with the other three.
We just lost the map I was trying to show. I might be able to bring it up again, but it identifies some features that Tapper showed on his map. And they're now in the form of shapefile data that I could put on this map that, you know, this map of which eventually will go in the management plan. But things that are possibly missing from here because they require buffers that we've identified in the text, I can now apply them to the map. And I think the specific areas are a wildlife corridor running by a stream and a ravine on the west.
I think there was also an additional hemlock and dry oak. I think it's grandfathered.
There's a number of areas, yeah.
I have this old email from Ethan where he explains the colors on his map.
Oh,
If
does he talk about the
can you
white?
put up his map one more time?
Put up the Haddon map or
The Ethan Tapper
the
map.
Tapper map.
Yeah.
This is essentially. So we've known.
I need to share.
It's not proof.
This is coming up now, I think. Okay, so this is
So
this is Tapper's map as
Ethan said, this is from him. The light green, dark green, blue, orange, yellow, and pink are all parts of the reserve zone. The reason for the different colors are to show that they are part of the reserve zone for different reasons. Okay, it's complicated. But the dark green, blue, orange, yellow, and pink are all habitats or natural communities identified by the Vermont Land Trust and a group of UVM field naturalists as areas of special concern. The light green areas are additional areas I designated as a reserve zone for a variety of other reasons: steep slopes, sensitive soils, difficult access. And in the case of the two bigger green blobs in the western half of the ACF, just two areas that weren't managed when the western half of the parcel was managed just before the town took ownership. Because they weren't managed, these areas just provide some diversity when compared to the rest of the western half of the ACF.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So the question is, for the reserve zones, what do we do about them for trail development parameters and for the map? Because the sensitive area map was intended to mirror what we put in the reserve or in the trail development parameters. So should these be reserve zones indefinitely? Do we need to put a section in the trail development parameters that talks about reserve zones and provide some kind of, buffer, special treatment for them? I'm especially curious, and I'm sure anyone who's interested in making a SIP connection will see that northernmost reserve zone kind of precludes, if we were to treat it as a no-go zone for trails. I'm not sure why this was chosen as a reserve zone, maybe because of its steepness, but basically, precludes any possibility of there being a trail connection because you've got flanked by dry oak. So I don't know. What do we want to do about reserve zones?
Well, I have a question for Dan, I think, which, looking at this map we have on the screen coming from Ethan Tapper, do we consider this as a map that's used for forestry planning, or do we consider it a map that's used for trail planning? I think that's important because, we're addressing trails and not forestry at this point.
Yeah.
And so Dan,
I think
can
he's,
that be clarified?
I think he made this map related to forestry.
Yeah.
But I think he defines those areas as reserve zone due to steep slopes, sensitive soils, difficult access. But I think I'm pretty sure this map was made from the vantage point of forest management.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then I would think that if it's, steep slopes, sensitive soils or difficult access, that if someone was to propose a trail that was in one of those reserve zones, we would find that there might be issues with the soil or the steepness or the access when walking it, right? So I would think that a boots on the ground examination with a trail designer and or an ecologist would say like, hey, this is a bad idea because it's too steep. So we shouldn't necessarily put its own category in the trail development parameters for reserve zones designated by Ethan Tapper in, 2019 or whenever he did it. That will come up in the findings as you march through the list of how to build a trail or how to propose a trail. You hit step 3, suddenly you're on the ground and you're like, wow, this is way too steep and we can't put a trail here, or, maybe it's fine.
Here, you want to hear this is what the forestry management plan itself.
Oh yeah, that's
says,
the context. would be helpful.
which kind of, I think Dan's piece, the email goes into more detail, but generally speaking, he says zone 3, which is 117 acres, 28% of the forest, includes mapped EPZs, mapped natural communities of significance, areas with thin or sensitive soils, areas of hemlock forest in the east of the property, and areas in the west of the ACF that were not subject to harvesting in 2011 to 13. Zone 3 is essentially a reserve zone. Within Zone 3, no forest management will occur except for monitoring and controlling, excuse me, invasive exotic plants. Recreational and forest management trails may cross this zone if no viable, alternative exists to access a portion of the ACF, but should generally avoid these areas. Then he sums up the whole discussion of zones 1, 2, and 3 by saying these management intensity zones will help to create a more diverse forest in the ACF over time by allowing a variety of different disturbance regimes to occur, including encouraging areas which will be allowed to grow and develop without human interference. It is recommended that recreational trail development also honors these zones with the highest trail densities in Zone 1, moderate densities in Zone 2, and as few trails as possible in Zone 3. Now, the numbers, I just realized those numbers on the map aren't zones. Those are stands.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Those are-
about zones 4,
Yeah.
5, and 6.
Oh, yeah, it's like,
It's like the bones.
Well, I guess we don't.
I think there's another map. Is this a stand?
We don't have enough maps.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. This is a forest stand map, but
That's
So-
confusing.
That is helpful context. I guess the question still remains,
It's not a map. It's not.
does that affect what we want to be on the sensitive
Mhm.
area map? Like if we put reserve zone on that map in the lightest possible color with a, asterisk that is basically saying like,
Mhm.
it is preferred that you do not consider putting trails here, but it's not, an absolute no. Like it's not as strict as, what's in the trail development
Mhm.
parameters, but it is a, best practice to stay out when
Mhm.
possible. So like ideally, you wouldn't do it at all. Maybe there's one exception in the north if somebody can find a reasonable way to get up to SIP, that would cut through a reserve zone, which in that situation, might be acceptable, but otherwise should be avoided if possible.
No.
So I don't know, do we want it on the sensitive area map, right?
Well, just
That's
that
kind of what
upper
he's,
yellow section, the reserve up against Sunshine, the middle of that is the top of the hill.
Yeah.
And it's flat, so. And if you go to the north into that box, it slopes down to the Sunshine property.
Yeah, this is the steep section, like here.
Right.
Steep, you're right, cause you, Brad and I walked it,
That's-
a
just-
month ago or 2 months ago, and this is up top, like SIP.
it's all
SIP is literally right here in like
Right.
the square,
Yes.
like curves and then goes back down.
Right.
And that's quite flat at the top. So yeah, I don't know why it got,
Well, I think it's hard to get to log. It's a long way from Route 2. And it's got things around it that are, I mean, it's a sugar maple right at the top. It's
Yeah.
sugar maple, as I recall. And it's pretty cool. Maybe that's what his thinking is.
it is nice up there. I mean,
It's also about 1,000 foot above sea level, which,
Right.
it's more than that 900 that's in the zoning
Yeah.
regulation.
Right.
I don't know if that's
1200.
relevant.
So, anyway,
Okay.
I think we will confuse the public
Yeah.
if we include too much forestry
Hmm.
restrictions in the human uses.
I agree. I think that it's helpful to have this context. Like, I don't know if there's if there's gonna be like a map section, like I think we should preserve this data, right? This is helpful to see like these reserve zones with the text that was just read. You know, either the text that's in the Dan read or the text that Brad read out of the
Yeah.
forestry management, just to have like, hey, here's one more map. And here's, you know, and here's some text that goes along with it.
Yeah.
So people can see like, okay, there is a little bit more than what exists in the sensitive area map. And I think it's our responsibility as a committee to know about these zones. We don't necessarily need to throw it in with like all the trail parameters and put it on the sensitive
yeah.
area map. And, you know, not as like a gotcha for trail builders, but more of just like an awareness piece. So we're not overwhelming the public, but just so we know, like, hey, look, this trail's like, you know, in a zone that, you know, Ethan had designated as like, hey, we should maybe stay out if we can. So
He
I think
does, I'll just show you quick. He does have a zone map,
So there
so
it is. What are the? what are
1,
the-
2, 3.
Which is which?
Yeah,
Let's see, the kind of the brownish is one, the dark burgundy maybe is 2, and the green is 3.
okay. So three's try to stay
Yeah,
out.
I can send that around. That's right in the plan,
Yeah.
right at that area where I was reading.
that's in the
In the
middle.
forestry plan. No, not in the forestry section, the
Oh.
forestry management plan.
Separate.
Ethan's plan.
Got
Right.
it.
And
It
that
might
map-
be in their appendix. I don't know.
That map you're showing, Brad, yeah, that one appears at the website, our page at the town website.
Oh, yeah, this,
There's about 4 or 5 maps that are listed right at the very bottom of that page, the very end.
oh, in that
Or-
cluster in the forestry management plan.
There's
part?
one of them it's called ACF Management Intensity Zones, but that's the
Oh,
one
yeah,
you're
that's right.
just
The MI's,
showing us,
the
I
misses.
believe.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, so to sum
Yeah.
up what we've talked about,
We're,
what are the next steps? So it sounds like we want to grab a couple of the missing features from the first map, the map that got printed out, the one that was included in the packet. There were a few missing features, including a wildlife corridor on the western side, and maybe there was like I noticed there's a small like dry oak, I think hemlock stand on the western side, close to where that wildlife corridor is. Technically, I think it's in the southern section. It was also not on the map. I suppose the question is, are we going to exclude them because they're south and we're just trying to focus on like buffering in the northern section?
There's but there's a connecting hemlock stain that's missing on the east side.
Oh, true. Yeah. So those, yeah. So I guess we sort of need to do a compare and contrast. I think the takeaway is all the accurate stuff that was mapped by Ethan should get ported over to the map if possible, except for the reserve zones, which serve a different purpose and I think are going to confuse and
Mhm.
make the map busier than it needs to be.
we could include.
It's,
But
yeah,
there's
it's
another-
just in the last 24 hours that I've been able to work with Ethan Tapper's shapefile.
Okay.
So now I'm able to implement shapefiles both from Arrowwood and from Tapper. Previously, it was just the Arrowwood ones. So, you know, we have those 2 maps, the Arrowwood shapefiles, the Tapper shapefiles. And I think my proposal is that it would be best to have a work party sit down with those 2 maps in front of us, maybe print it out and, you know, and make a new draft, basically add material to this draft from the Tapper map, but probably not all of it. I mean, some of them are the same areas, but Tapper has some additional things which aren't shown on this draft map. So, you know, I'm able to implement it with guidance. And I guess I'm suggesting that from my perspective, the best guidance would come from a work party that would, you know, sit down with the maps
Yeah. Is there
and bring it to a future meeting. We could do it.
yeah, I think that's
Probably, I think.
a good call.
I'd
Is
say-
anyone interested in being in that working group on maps? I think we have a hard cap of 3 people.
I'd help out, but if there's room.
I say go for it if you're interested. I mean, Ian, of course, and then if you want to join in, and then we got room for one more. Dan, do you want to do it? Because you've been
Yeah.
heavily involved here, so I think that.
Sure.
Can we go back to, I forgot the gentleman's name in Huntington, his map,
John Hadden.
John Haddon. Can we go back and see his map, or did there, you? It's.
Yeah, sorry, which map should I show?
John Haddon's map.
John Haddon, yeah.
It's much easier, and no disrespect, Ian, it's an easier map
Yeah, to look at.
to look at.
I think it's because of like the opacity and like the shading. I think it's helpful to see Ian's maps because, you know, he can play around with the files himself, but then ultimately John Haddon, isn't he like a graphic designer or something? So he was the one that produced this map, which I think is why it's easier to look at because
Yep.
he knows how to
Yeah,
style things well.
so I think ultimately let John do it, but we figure it out that's what John's asking for too.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so I think,
You know, you
Yeah.
tell me what you want to show.
exactly.
Right.
And so it's not,
So the working group should determine, here are all the features that should be on the map. And then that gets passed to John, and then John, you know, creates a pretty version
Yeah.
like this that matches the features that have been determined in the working group.
Yeah, we like his format.
So I guess working group should do, you should do your work, bring a map back to the committee. We can approve it to make sure that all the things on the map look right. And then we could kick it to John and say like, hey, can you
Yeah.
create
Yeah,
this stylized version with
Yeah.
these features that we've given you? That would be, I think, the best course.
Yeah.
Does
and I
that-
think the materials that the work party can work on actually are the same formats that I've displayed. There's the Haddon map, there's the Tapper map, there's this draft.
Yep.
And then there's my implementation of Tapper's shapefile, which identifies the zones that may be missing from the draft at present.
I don't know if you were here, but I think a question came up at a recent meeting about the width of the power
That was me.
corridor. You were
I
wondering,
was bringing it up to make sure we've got the right width.
so you don't have that off the top of your head,
It's, I do. It's 225.
2.25, okay.
Yeah, 75 and 150.
Okay.
So
I guess that's what happened.
75 each side of the center line.
No,
along-
they're parallel easements.
Oh, okay.
One is 150 and one is 75.
You know which is which.
They overlap.
I've forgotten. I can,
Whose this is.
I can
That was
email it.
The lower one, right? And
yeah, Green Mountain Power is the upper
higher.
one. I think Green Mountain Power is 75.
Okay.
Because all I could do was put a marker on
Right,
this, like a map like this one,
right,
and try to figure out what's the width that's
right.
visible. I think it's just the the area that's been cleared of coverage of.
Well, so that changed recently. So I don't know if I can get it up on the screen, but I walked that this weekend and I didn't realize just how much they cleared a bunch of, like
The right of way is very wide now.
It's extremely wide, and I hadn't realized just how many oak trees they had cut down, because I got confused, because sometimes I'll walk that section on the western side of where the abutments are.
Right,
And I'm familiar with, how like the rock outcropping works, and I got confused for a second and realized like, oh, it's because they literally cut down like, I don't know if it was like
50 feet.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it feels like 50
And that was
feet.
on the Green Mountain Power side, on the
Yes.
north side.
And and I don't know like how, yeah, I
The
know.
way the easement reads, they can basically cut whatever they want. No,
Okay.
they're just, they have
They
This
call
was
it
done in the
right?
twenties and they were given the right to do whatever they want.
Like piled a lot of it up.
At least with that.
Right.
Try changing.
Yeah, right.
I have a question here, guys. Are these little dots vernal pools? Is that?
The
that
ones
okay?
close to the vast trail are, that I don't think,
That is interesting.
I don't think, it's not been confirmed anyway, maybe. But it's at least a wetland.
So that one
But
right
the
there.
color seems to be vernal.
That's vernal. This looks like a wetland.
Yeah.
But
But that one way up there,
And the reason I think they are is because that would explain
those are,
the stain on,
yeah,
The big
Oh.
blob.
oh, maybe.
Cause like, this,
That one on the property line, that looks like a suspect.
guys, I think this one's an intermittent, right? And so it would have the smallest, but it's got a big red stain, so I imagine that comes from the.
Huh. Whose land that?
Do we have to call that a stain?
That's,
That's a poor choice of words.
yeah. Yeah, but this one does have the full hemlock, stand, the other one doesn't have.
Yeah, he picked that up.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, so to your point, right, you're saying what's easiest to understand, I mean, you know.
Well, it's just, it's easier for my brain
It
to,
does,
Yeah.
it takes some talent to do, it really does, to
right.
do that well.
Now I'm,
You can see it.
Yeah.
The other issue here too is he squished the scale.
Yeah, which we've
We've-
covered
we've
before.
talked
So I
about
think
that.
that will also be in the instruction to him.
Yeah.
can I, while we're on this map,
Yep.
would it be helpful, because this is gonna be a trail map as well, right?
Well, we talked about having multiple maps, right?
Okay,
Ultimately, we wanted to have sensitive, I don't know if this is still the case, but it was, I think we had 4 maps, right? It was like sensitive areas only, sensitive areas with buffers, navigational, and then I can't remember the 4th one was.
There was just 3.
It was just 3,
Yeah,
okay.
in the minutes it was 3.
Okay, great.
One was
All
a
right.
trail map, one was a sensitive map and.
all right,
Navigational is trails plus existing logging roads, right?
right. So is it good? I guess if I were making the map, I would have the utility roads a slightly different color than the trails,
Yeah.
so that we know that the utility, where they're driving trucks are not, it may not be green, they might be, I don't know, dotted green or pick a color.
Do we want that for the public or for our personal use?
For the public. Because they look really different.
Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah.
look, they're roads versus trails.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's.
so right, when you refer to utility roads, is that this section under the power lines?
So from here.
Oh, really, the access road to,
Yeah, from here to here, and
Yeah.
then that way, and then that way.
okay,
that
yeah,
was-
so everything
So
that,
it's really, it's a T-shaped.
yeah.
road.
Well, would we also want it, so it wouldn't
That's
include,
more of a trail.
Okay.
That's, and so's that. to
Okay,
me, Just to
okay.
me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so just the T.
The other thing that's not shown on this map are the logging roads.
Yes, which we would want to add the ones that we
We
know.
want
of.
to show those, like they're there.
Yeah.
Yep,
They're just
Yeah.
dialed down right now.
right,
Yeah.
right, I think so.
Can
Yeah,
slide
if
the
I'm navigating
slider.
in the woods, I'd like to see
And
it.
you bump into a logging road.
I know where I am on the map.
Right.
Yeah, it helps you get your bearings,
Yeah.
especially if you're wandering around. Yeah, the question is. There are varying degrees of logging road, like there's very obvious logging roads, and then there are some that have really melted back into the forest, and it's like I continue to be surprised at finding some really old logging roads that are much less apparent than some that are very clear, you know, some of them.
Tampa's map shows like it's not a spider's web, I'm just a mass.
Who's mapped?
Tapa's.
Tapa, yeah.
Or his shapefile, I should say. I don't think I've ever seen. one
Almost
on
too
his map.
many.
Shapefile.
Which works for him, his needs probably,
Yeah.
his former needs.
And yeah, it's,
They're on the Arrowwood map.
Yeah,
Okay.
Arrowwood's got a more limited number, more
Yeah.
manageable, I think.
as long as we have the main ones, like. If you
Yeah.
put every last one on there, people might struggle to even find them. That's why I want to bring up the range of logging roads, because if it's one that's practically completely melted back into the forest, it's not helpful to tell someone there's a trail there or there's an old logging road there if it's overgrown and they're gonna get lost trying to find it. If it's a clear one, like the one that goes through Hemlock Valley here, that one is very obvious. Like we walked, Brad, you and Wright and we walked down that,
Yep.
you know, on our way back from our little excursion to the border here. And I mean, that was a very well-established trail. I mean, you could practically drive a truck
Mhm.
down it. I mean, at least that section,
Yeah.
it kind of in between wouldn't work so well, but those are the types of ones that I think we definitely want to show.
Yeah.
The ones that are barely visible, we might do more harm than good. But I think that
Yeah.
if we take the ones that Arrowwood has, that's probably
think so.
the ones worth showing.
I mean,
Right.
I think that.
Yeah.
I think we'd have to use the ones at Arrowwood. Those are the ones that are in there.
Yep.
And if he slides the toggle up to make them more visible, they're all gonna be like I don't think he has the ability to turn. on
Oh, got it.
individual
Okay,
roads.
well then, I guess that just might be that.
We could look at it, we just have to pull up the Arrowwood map.
Oh, yeah, they are almost invisible, especially with the background they've got. They're pale white, they're white One other thing, John, on the Haddon map, you can't see, but I can see it on Sam's screen here, is all the topo lines are there. Not,
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
they fade out on the general background, so.
But so that's it, to Wright's point, this does seem closer to the user map with, once we get a fuller map of the trails.
Sort of the style of it, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a little more visible, and then really, who would need the sensitive area map? That would be the trail proposers.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so this would be sort of, well, some version of this would be like the common map, the one we post at the kiosk, the one that would be the first one that people see on the website. Maybe even link to it on Trailforks, All Trails, whatever. And then the trail proposer would need to pick their way through the more pink looking map, this guy that needs it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do we,
Is it just two maps?
the user map? Yeah, I guess we don't really need to we don't need to have sensitive areas and then sensitive areas plus buffers. We could just probably do two. Sensitive areas plus buffers,
Yeah.
and then navigational, which I don't think would have anything else on it except for like, I don't know, it starts to get really busy for a navigational map.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that useful for somebody to look at the navigational map and then be like, okay, well, where's all the dry oak?
Mhm.
It's like, they're not gonna, I mean, I guess if they're trying to go explore, but
Yeah.
the thing is, anyone who wants to go bushwhacking,
Yeah.
can look at the sensitive area map and say like, okay, here's a good idea of all the special things in the forest.
Yeah.
If they want to venture off the trail, that's a good way to see, all right, what are all the special features in the forest? But
Yeah.
for the average person who's trying to just look and see where the trails are, I feel like a more skeletal structure that just shows the trails and the border of the forest is probably more helpful, right?
With the topo, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, topo,
Streams
trails, and old logging roads.
and streams.
And streams,
And
I think is
stream.
good too, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
that streams, that's really helpful there. I think.
Sure, and streams, but we wouldn't do wildlife corridor or any of the forest stands. Or I guess even the vernal pools, like, we're not going through the wetlands or the vernal pools for trails.
Hmm.
So those aren't really navigational features that you would use to orient yourself, right?
Yeah.
So topo, so yeah, I guess for the working group, for the navigational map, it would be existing trails, logging roads, topo, and streams
Streams, yeah.
would be, I guess, what we want on that.
But the highest priority is the one that includes buffers. So
Yeah, so two maps, the navigational, so trails, streams,
Yeah.
topo, and then the one that's more important right now, the higher priority one is all the sensitive areas we talked about, plus the buffers, the appropriate
yeah,
buffers.
I mean, that's basic. That's two of the maps, isn't it? One shows sensitive areas and
Yeah.
one has all that big stuff
Yeah,
surrounding them.
And then I think we give John full artistic license to choose whatever format seems to work best, because like, it seems like he did a really good job with this, so if we have minor suggestions after the fact, but I think, I know, he's already doing us a huge favor, like, I almost feel like we should be paying him a few dollars for such a high quality map, but I suppose if he's willing to do it for free, then we shouldn't necessarily try to start giving out money.
I would make one small suggestion, if it's, I don't know if you can do this with the shape files in, but if he can do it so that we're not legislating outside of our border, I think that would be best.
By what you're showing a hard border, it clearly
Just cut off everything outside the yellow.
just it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. You know, I've thought about that a little bit in terms of, well, what if there's a, vernal pool right on the other side? But I think for the map, you're right, Julian. It should just cut it off at the border. And then that's, again, while we have the sort of like boots on the ground, like site visit, right? So
Exactly.
we'll go, and if the ecologist says like, hey, we're right on the edge of the border here, and 50 feet that way, there's a vernal pool.
Yeah.
I don't think we should do this. Then I think we'll be reasonable and we'll change course, right?
I agree with that, but could we include streams going over the border?
I think we should do.
But not, restrictions.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, features, but not restrictions, yeah.
So we're almost there here. I mean, we would cut the trails off, I guess, like the two little ends of the
Way.
old Bass Trail you would cut
That's
off.
one of the other, I think this moves.
Well, except the center corridor goes on to, forgot the guy's name.
Jay.
Jay, yeah.
Yeah, so we leave the stream here, but we get rid of the wildlife
Right.
buffer and we get rid of this, it looks like a little oak, dry oak
Right.
is bleeding
Yeah.
over. Same thing
Mhm.
with here, it's like bleeding over.
And I might leave the trails going over just to. But that's,
This one, I would say yes, because, I don't know, like, I don't know about the
Alright.
western side.
all right, get rid of it, sorry.
I mean, I guess whatever, if we're doing it on one side, then we could do it on the other, it's pretty clear when you go to that side, like it
Right.
says, no trespassing and. I followed up with Mike via email, didn't hear back, so I can try again, but,
Right.
as of right now, it doesn't seem like
Yeah.
there's, much appetite for, traffic on the western side.
Right.
Cool, well, I guess is that everything, we wanna talk about for mapping? I know it took a while, but I think we really need to get through
Yeah.
all this stuff,
Good. It's good.
so time well spent, so. Working group, you three, you've got your marching orders and.
So working group is Dan, myself and
And
Brad.
Brad, yep.
Mhm.
Okay,
And yeah, and I don't know if you want to. I guess work at whatever pace makes sense. I know we have the holiday, so it's a little tricky, but we're also going to have, I think, 3 weeks before our next meeting because of the timing. So that buys you a little bit of time, but if,
That'd be a nice target, but that to be, to have a
Mhm.
new
Yeah.
map to break to the, what's that, to
I think
January.
it's the
It's something,
13th,
I was saying the 13th, but it might be-
13th, 14th, something like that.
it is the
January 12th is the next scheduled meeting, so.
That's the Monday.
So that's
Monday,
basically
the
3
12th.
weeks.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 weeks from today.
Right.
Great, okay, excellent. Well, I suppose we should move on. We don't have a whole lot of time here, but we can jump back into management plan stuff.
I think most of what's in B, still pending in B6 is actually buffers and mapping. So
What's still pending? Yeah, I suppose. I'll get up my interactive version.
You want the lights back on?
I don't care, either is fine.
Easier for notes.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Secretary.
Whatever.
Oh, no, I've got the. I've got a
Go
bright
below,
light
okay,
here.
yeah, I don't really care. I guess, well, let me bring up the document and we can see. It was nice with the maps. I don't know if it'll be necessary for the white, black text on a white background, but give me 1 second, we can decide.
maybe one of you could get the lights. So I can read my
Okay.
printout. Okay,
Whoa.
thanks.
Whoa.
Which one is this?
Good gosh.
Report. Or is a different name. Okay, good enough. I don't think the date's right on this, but that's fine. All right, let me share.
Excuse me.
Okay, so we talked about maps and then I guess. People see that when they zoom in anymore, I guess. Let's have so much trouble. So I guess I should have, and I did not add the diagram 1 and diagram 2. These,
You did diagram 2 on the next one.
what's that?
Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna turn them red because I need to make sure that or that I need to do those, I need to clean up those pictures I drew and add them. Because right now we're saying, see diagram that doesn't exist. It was just what we looked at last time, so. Back to the require justification statement, this is what we discussed a bit last time, and we have inserted here. The proposal made by Julian, where we're kind of grabbing some of the stuff from Meredith's report, so I, struck out a couple of things that were in there and, replaced it with what Julian had proposed. So we talked about this but it didn't really get, we talked about adding it, but it didn't get added and it didn't really get discussed. So I think this is where we need to
Mhm.
pick things up.
Yeah, and you had some amendments, Brad?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest putting the whole suite of Meredith's what are we calling them? Management variables in there. So where it says these include, just to add a couple more, there's a couple more that she had. And I picked up her phrasing. I mean, I know Julian was after it, and I just thinking if we show a couple other ways that people can mitigate.
So
expand.
what was
that
what
there or
was
not?
So
There.
I would have it read, I'll just read through fast, and I emailed this to you just
Yeah.
before the meeting.
Yeah,
In case you wanted to share, but I can read it too.
I mean, I can bring up the email if you want.
Um, all right, while you're doing that, I'll say, so where it says these include, I would just picking up from Meredith's own language and order of things with a little minor editing for clarification. Education, she said, is important, you know, for people to know where they are, what the sensitivities are. Species-specific management, which I think is there. Oh, that taxonomic group, that's an edit. I think more people will understand what we're talking about if we say that. And I think she uses that term. Winter and temporal restrictions, moving or closing trails, limiting gathering points, dog policy, the timing of trail building, trail use volume, which is there, and frequency, she added, and recreation activity type, which is there. So I don't know, there's maybe four new ones we could add.
I kind of missed some of it, but I missed, I think, a few here. Education and some of them.
Yeah,
I
I think, can I comment on that? Cause I think,
Yeah.
I think it's a good, compliment. I think I would change taxonomic group to species specific management or impacts, maybe impact/management.
All right, so yeah, here we basically
Oh, I see, yeah,
just like replace this.
Exactly, yeah.
that's a more, yeah.
Slash impacts, because really it's about impact in trail proposal, right, Brad?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like management and impacts like this.
Yeah, exactly. Education is, I'm certainly not opposed to it. I'm not sure, Brad, that it is. I mean, note the ways in which the remaining management variables are taken into account by the proposal. I certainly am not opposed to putting education in there. I'm just not sure it's 100% relevant, but I don't object at all.
I don't understand how you use education to determine,
Yeah.
like how do you use education as a ecological impact mitigation strategy?
Yeah, I know. Maybe signage. You could say some
Oh.
information app, a little sign that says, you know, the last passenger pigeon is nesting in that tree or something like that.
So so basically what we'd be saying is, we're not necessarily mitigating the trail. We're basically saying like, we're basically owning up to the fact that we're going through a section that should not have been gone through and now you should learn about it while you're here, or like, I guess.
Yeah.
I think she's, in her report, she's saying that education is a tool you can use to mitigate trail impacts. By educating the public about when to use trails or.
Oh, okay.
Maybe overall, not necessarily, like you say, we're encroaching. So maybe it is too broad to go there.
I don't know if it makes sense to include it as part of the justification statement. I think that it belongs in the education section or somewhere along those lines, right?
Yeah.
Like we're trying to generally educate the public on, here are things you should do to be responsible about forestry management, or like, you know, recreation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I think that's where the education piece would belong versus throwing it in here saying like, well, if you're gonna put this trail in, you gotta like do your community service and make sure that you're letting people know that this exists or this is, you know, why we put a trail here. Or to me, it just, that starts to get pretty, it's certainly not very intuitive, and I feel like it's a little challenging.
I
Do you have a
think-
comment?
No, I think we all got an email from Brad's pointing to Meredith Norton's report.
To that
And,
section.
you know, sort of recommending we review it, which I did. And there's a huge amount of material. And I really was struck by, she emphasizes education in a number of areas for
Right.
ensuring compliance with guidelines for trail building and for trail use, and also for monitoring.
I don't
So,
think anybody's opposed to it. If it is helpful at all, we can leave it. I mean, anybody
Yeah.
object to having education in there? It's not completely intuitive, but it certainly doesn't go against anything I think we all agree on.
Yeah, I guess that's fine. It's true. I mean, these include, it doesn't mean you have to check every single one off the
Right.
list. It's just, you know, something for people to consider. So yeah, I guess it's not doing any
This
real
is for
harm.
the requester.
Yeah.
They might.
I do think dog policy goes in the dog policy section. I don't think it goes in this section.
Yeah.
Well, if,
It's
but
good.
it's by the same token. I mean, somebody might come and say, well, all right, I want to clip the buffer zone, right? And one thing I'll do is we'll say no dogs at all there. Maybe if dogs are okay elsewhere around in the non-buffered area, maybe there's no dogs allowed in there as a,
Uh-huh.
To me, that doesn't feel practical because now you're
Right.
designating a small dog-free zone
yeah,
that the dog can't pass through
well, you
to
tie
get
them,
from one side to the other. So you'd have to close that trail to all dog use.
you
I
tie
think
your
it's-
dog up at the.
Well, I think it's a lot easier to manage. Yeah, either unless we're putting signs up on specific trails saying no dogs on this trail,
Yeah,
then it starts to get confusing. Like it's a lot easier to manage, you know, whether or not we keep it. Right now we have dogs are okay in the lower section, dogs are not okay in the upper section.
yeah,
Right.
If it's dogs are okay everywhere except for this one
Yeah.
trail,
Uh-huh.
that starts to get really hard to manage. And what happens if the sign comes
with,
off?
with a
Mhm.
leash, which is something that Meredith not, she has quite a section about dogs and
yeah,
reasons why they should be, you know, controlled.
yeah.
And use of unleashed dogs.
Yeah, I believe,
Be a real problem,
You
of
could
course.
bag that.
Yeah, was that somewhere in here? I mean, I know we talked about dogs, but maybe we only talked about.
It's in the,
No, we definitely talk about dogs, and you guys know, I always bang on about repeating ourselves. If we ever change anything, then we have to like change it 8 times in 8 different places, so.
Yeah,
it may be in,
Just mentions of each thing is best.
it's
maybe
easier
in
to manage,
the,
that's
in
for
the
sure.
appendix, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, did we? It's not in this section.
But look for dog.
Yeah, I mean,
We did have a section on dogs.
somewhere, it just
Which
wasn't.
I think maybe in an earlier draft. I thought
We're on the
was-
same pile.
No,
They all need leashes.
We have any leashes on?
I think it's because we decided some of these rules we wanted to put in a separate document, you know, for ease of not having to adjust the management plan, you know, and to be able to have sort of like a one sheet of like the rules of the forest. The dog, I think that's why it was gonna get, you know, included there.
Maybe
So
we just say pit bulls in mountain bikers.
huh,
Would that be better, Julie?
I think that's probably more offensive to the mountain bikers.
Watch out from
That's
watch Quorum if you
Totally facetious. But
No,
yeah,
just-
you're right.
I mean, we should not throw the whole kitchen sink in there. The
Yeah.
dogs are accounted for elsewhere. I don't think it would be strange to propose a trail that was trying to navigate our restrictions and then also brought something up about dogs.
Right.
I agree.
I don't see how that would apply.
It wouldn't apply.
How it would apply, yeah, like,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah, I agree.
you don't have jurisdiction over dogs, trail proposer, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I do agree that, you know, we should talk about the, you know, dog leash policy elsewhere, but I don't think that
Mhm.
in this section, which is the deviation process, that we should
Mitigation,
be saying like,
yeah.
oh, well, we'll let you have this trail only if you agree to not have dogs in
Yeah.
the buffer zone, you know, that just is terribly complicated
Yeah.
and
We're trying to pre-mitigate that.
and also what's gonna happen is someone's gonna be in the woods with their dog and they're gonna walk up to that trail and then suddenly it's gonna say like no dogs past this point or something, and it's like they're not gonna have seen it on the map. And then they're gonna be like, well, what now, you know? And a lot of people are probably gonna be like, well, I don't care, I'm just gonna keep going, you know, so like, yeah, I don't know.
Check your dog at the border.
Okay, so we're getting rid of education and dog policy.
Dogs, no, education stays,
Okay.
dogs go.
Yeah.
Appendix D actually has a section on dogs.
That's where it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
So
It's on page 3 of Appendix D. 1 8-line paragraph about dogs.
Okay, we can probably consolidate, you know, breeding season with temporal
Yeah.
restrictions, like that's all just timing, right? And I think for ease of you know, people reading this, maybe we just say seasonal closures.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's,
As a,
that will
to
come
lump
up.
them.
Yes, rather than like list them all out, because they're essentially all doing the same thing, right? If
Mhm.
you're managing a trail's ecological impact, you're literally just closing it for some period of the year,
Mhm.
whether that's in the summer because of some bird, nesting period, or if it's in the, late winter because of bobcats, or because it's
Whatever.
in the spring because of the wetlands, these are all cause for just a seasonal closure. So I'd say we get rid of breeding season and we get rid of temporal restrictions, winter temporal restrictions.
We have a blanket temporal restriction on the whole place, right? More or less, right? Dawn to dusk or something like that.
Well,
So-
yeah, that's a
so-
daily thing.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Say, well, from, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., don't go here? I
No,
mean-
no, season.
No, this is seasonal.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay.
So the word temporal, that's a justification for bagging temporal here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
seasonal, I can see that. That's more of a patchwork mitigation thing.
So seasonal closures.
Yeah.
So can I bring up something? I'm not sure what trail building timing means, but I guess how long is it gonna take to build?
Well, I think it's what season you choose to build the trail.
Oh,
Like, are we gonna
okay.
do this in the middle of the winter? Are we gonna do it in the middle of the summer?
Okay. Well, I was
We're gonna do it
thinking
during mud
it's
season.
gonna take 4 months versus 3 days.
Yeah, so if we have like an erosion concern
Yep,
or something,
okay.
then maybe, okay, well, you could more easily do it in the winter, which might not normally be a typical time to
Right.
build a trail, but if the ground's
Right.
firm, then maybe you can. I don't know.
That's
I
fine.
think
Well,
trail building.
wildlife influence too, because
Sure.
ZOI of a big construction project is more than.
True. Yeah, it's a great point. So you would not want to build a, hemlock trail in the middle of the winter,
Right.
right? But you could do it in the middle of the summer and it should have lower impact.
That's the idea.
So let me just, if you don't mind.
No, no,
I'm just thinking. So there's proposal to move a trail. What is really during construction, what is the impact on other trails? Are other trails going to need to, or is a bulldozer need to be brought in? Up other trails that could negatively temporarily impact the other trails, so. That's what I'm thinking. Are there consequences during construction to other trails that we need to have addressed?
Is that up above, that would be somewhere up above this point, I think.
Okay,
It's not a mitigation like the requester.
all right.
Should take that into account, but
We're bringing in bulldozers?
well,
It's an excavator.
yeah, right, there's a lot of bobcat building out there, I mean, I can't imagine having to propose something like that, but you're right that we're making the rules, and if what's not written is not allowed.
well, there must be something about the scope of the project. Is there above this on the things we want to
Bulldozer
know?
wasn't the right word, but. If heavy equipment is needed for this
Yeah,
rerouting, what is the, what is the impact?
Hey, you pull up a trailer on a four-wheeler full of bridge material and shovels, that's kind of heavy, that's a.
Right, well, yeah, there may or may not be an impact, right, that's all it is,
Mhm.
yeah.
So what do we want to
Structure and
write?
impact.
where would it?
Construction impacts.
Okay,
Well, trail building timing and impacts could be.
Yeah. so maybe trail construction
Mhm.
impacts and timing.
Sure.
Good.
Speaking of timing, I have to leave a little early tonight. Apologize.
Okay, we'll dip out whenever we'll still have a quorum, so
Okay,
we
good.
won't need to, you can just excuse yourself
All
whenever
right,
you.
and
dip
we'll
out.
get.
We'll be in touch then,
Great,
yeah.
thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Thanks,
Happy
Dan.
holidays.
Yeah, you
What are
too.
good times for you? Do you have any kind of guideline, a good time to meet?
It's all over.
We'll work it out.
This makes sense grammatically, right? Having the and in the and is weirding me out, but I think this is still correct because trail construction impacts and timing is one thing.
Right.
And it's the last of a list.
And you have a comment.
You can have that, Sonny, but I think.
Yeah, Sonia's the real grammar with. Cool, I like that. And then I'm sure,
I
are there
did
any?
If you want the reference on the link And the site for the footnote,
This-
that's on the thing I sent here,
Oh, okay.
if you want.
Is that like, do we wanna,
You want to insert the footnote,
yeah,
just so people can get to it.
sure. So we wanna just,
You put a footnote there.
so how, yeah, I'm not very good at this. What am I doing?
Oh, then
Like
you-
putting like an asterisk or like a super
You got a
script?
footnote.
Oh, is there a button for it?
Yeah.
Can you tell I don't write,
Footnote to the
So-
button. Insert.
Reference, there should be a reference.
Insert.
search,
Look,
footnote?
You know, like where you have. again,
Oh, yeah,
there
there-
would be reference.
Well, it's not in the right spot, but I had it, insert, page element, but no. Command Option F. So like that. Oh, wow, you guys can't see it.
We see something.
Like that. But now it needs to link to something, right? So,
Brad's got it in the.
oh, it's down here at the bottom.
Right.
Wow, that's handy. Yeah, clearly I'm not writing
So you could
anything
copy that.
professional that requires.
You've been in college for a while, Sam. I can see.
No, I haven't. It's been a while. I don't have to do any footnotes in my line of work.
That's in the email that,
Oh, cool.
you can just pick it up.
It's just a copy paste. That's
Sweet. That's in what? The save for later one?
Yeah, say for later, yeah. What time did I send that?
This one.
There you go. It's long just because the link is really long, because we probably have to print that.
Well, can we be
Yeah.
smaller? Does
Be nice,
Usually it's like 8 point or something.
be nice to have an original link for that rather than this
Well, that
second
comes from-
one in the WordPress.
Yeah, because you don't want to
I
monkey
think I
around with
searched
those.
for it and not been able to find it at the Norton report.
I
It
found
should
it.
be at UVM somewhere.
It should be, yeah, or ANR even, you know. I think I found it somewhere in the state. I was lazy and I just went for yours,
oh, okay, so we want like the source material.
yeah.
I guess this would be, we don't do that yet, and this would be two. Should I just look it up and find it now, or do we want to just add it later? Okay, cool.
That's good for the time being. That's a job for the copy editor.
Yes, it is.
Remember the copy editor?
Yeah, that's
If we
right.
get one, we'll see.
Well, somebody's got it.
Yeah, so it's either gonna be one of us or it's gonna be somebody we hire, but yeah, depending on the price point, that's gonna determine who's doing it. Okay, so can we remove these then? Right,
Yes.
cool, and then we'll go ahead and turn this all black. These random colored bullet points are just killing me. I don't know why it does that, but.
Where the,
You could put,
most probably.
Julian, what if we put the title, wildlife and rec in upper lower?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
It's just the way it is on the cover page. That's it.
And Sam, I think if you erase that bullet and pull it up to the second bullet.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. That's smart. Well, now that you mentioned that, I feel like there was a blue one up here somewhere that is bothering me. Yeah, this
There it
was.
is.
I should have thought
It's on Word.
that. Okay, so that's this section, I guess,
Not quite done.
yeah, we didn't quite make it to the bottom, but we're close, so,
I was bringing up that the deviation percentage is still under discussion.
oh, yeah, we never decided, yeah, you're right,
I'm actually at the buffers and look at you guys, it said 5%. I think 5% is a rounding error and pretty difficult to determine on. When you're matching, you're walking to your mapping.
Yep.
So that just feels like 5% is what you tolerate for a rounding error. And because the buffers are wide, as Meredith says they should be, I suppose. I do think you need more tolerance than that.
More tolerance?
well, do you have a suggestion? Do you have a-
I had to 25.
Yeah, to me, that would just be a, automatic, take 25% off our 300. I mean, we've got, we're already 25% below New Hampshire. 10% below Naughton, because she's 330. And she also talks about a secondary zone of 500 meters. So a secondary zone of 15.
It's half the width.
It's in that section near where we quoted that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not like the 300 is crazy, I mean, I've been reading about bear sensitivities and stuff, and they go into the hundreds of meters, it's not. We're already really tight, I think, with 300 to do what we're trying to pull off here. And,
1,500 is like.
To drop, we keep dropping. We've dropped from 400, we've dropped from 330, and now we're want to drop some more. I mean, I think 5% seems, if you got to clip the corner, okay. But you still got, yellow areas theoretically right now.
Yeah, so just for reference, this is rough, but the width of these two, like dry oak sections with their buffers is probably about 1,500 feet. And you said meters? You said 1,500 meters?
No.
500 meters.
Okay, so 1,500.
Yeah, as a secondary.
Yeah, so
A secondary buffer she talks about.
just so people can see that, like, so that's basically
that's
the
huge.
entire width of this,
Oh,
and then
God.
here's the whole forest. So like,
Right.
I don't know what is she recommending for the secondary zone, because like that just doesn't seem feasible in a
Mhm,
forest this small where we're attached
Right.
to
right.
to
That would
manage
be,
both wildlife and
that'd be like
recreation.
Hamel's Hump State Forest.
Yeah, that makes
you
a
know,
lot more sense for a wilder and larger.
Where you've got jurisdiction. More flexibility in your jurisdiction.
So,
No, I'm not advocating that, but I'm just saying it's. 300 isn't, we aren't at it's not a crazy number.
Yeah.
And to take 75 feet off that. Or even.
Yeah, I mean,
Less.
yeah, 25 seems high to me.
Right.
Yeah, did you have
waiting for Brad.
oh,
When you mentioned that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was thinking, all right, there's room for, to me, there's room for compromise, and so my thinking was, let's go to 10 and double the 5 to 10, and that's my thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
What if we went to-
I
what if
think,
we-
Brett, so like when, an encroachment, cutting the corner, traversing, because I think looking at the map now, I think probably what's gonna happen is that you're gonna have to traverse a few things rather than, cut into them too deeply. I don't think you're losing, 25% doesn't mean you're losing 300 to 200. It means there's a slice that gets encroached on, but it's just, it's just that slice. It doesn't mean the whole area gets reduced by 25%. It just means if you, well, I guess we have to look back at the diagram saying, but I think.
we might be talking about distance versus area, right? So like maybe you can dial up, maybe you can use a higher number for distance, but you wouldn't want to use, if you use 25% for the area, then you would be just basically cutting out an entire quarter of that buffer, which to me seems like a lot.
Right.
So it seems like there might be, like, maybe we don't want to mirror these two numbers. 5% was just the number that we started with. I would say that I would be uncomfortable with seeing the fragmentation area go any higher than 10, because then, but I could see potentially the trail encroachment going higher than 10, because it would be also dictated by the area, right? So like, maybe you could go in a little further, but you're gonna bump up into problems. So like, remember the pinhole example?
Yeah.
Where it'd be like, okay, well, here's like, here's a switchback
Right.
that does go into a buffer zone and then back out, and it's only reducing the area of this buffer by 2%, but it does go into but it goes closer to the core and it's at 13%.
Yeah.
Like, that is something that I'd be more comfortable with than something that's cutting out an entire quarter of a buffer zone. To me, that seems egregious.
Yeah.
But that's just my personal like thought on that.
Well, so translating the drawing, then what would that? Cause I forget which one's the one and the two and so forth, but like.
Oh.
Translate the diagrams into.
Yeah, let me just grab, I can grab it from last meeting. Let me just go to the archive and I can pull this up. It's from the 8th, right? And we had a couple of pictures. And this is why I love having all this stuff in the packet and not just in the email.
Yeah.
Because it would take
Yeah,
me
no
so
kidding.
long. So this was example 1, which was just the terminology. And then the other, we just want 2. So right, so the other one was not the pinhole, it was this one. It was the total area one where, you know, we had the existing trail that was already approved, and then we have the proposed new trail that, sorry, it's in yellow, but that was not okay, but then, you know, if moved to this green line would be okay. So yeah, this would be diagram 2. But what I'm saying is like for this discussion, you know, maybe a pinhole is okay. Like this is too far, right? Because like based on this is like 50%, this is 60%, right? But if it was 25%, let's say you know, the switchback ended where the hand is. If that was what we were doing, if you look at the total area of that circle, and you know, we're only cutting out about, you know, maybe 2% of the total area, and then you are distance wise, the encroachment is, you know, that might be 25%. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess we'd have to look at other examples. If we go back to this one, if it's not a pinhole, then it becomes a trickier situation, right? If you go 25% in here, but again, the area is controlling it, right? Because imagine a trail that goes it's a much bigger bite of the cookie, right? That goes all the way to 25% and it's round. That is not going to clear the area. You know, if it goes too wide in, it's gonna get stopped by the area. So I don't know if I'd have to look at some more visual examples of what does 5% out of various shapes
What's it
look like.
look like? Yeah.
Because maybe 5% area is actually reasonable, but the distance could be like 25. Like I don't know. I don't really. I guess I might need like actual visual examples, but based on what we're talking about, I almost feel like you could say the distance could be 20 or even 25%, but we want to stick with the 5.
What,
you know,
could you explain the distance to me again? I'm sorry.
distance
The
is
5% distance.
Oh, here, let me just go.
How does
to the
that go?
First example. So back to the terminology. I apologize, my terrible handwriting. This is the distance. And we might have switched it from incursion.
Or the
to something
depth of
else.
it, the depth thing.
Trail encroachment.
That definitions has 2 really useful terms. One is the encroachment distance, and the other is the fragmentation area.
Exactly.
Now, fragmentation is a good, useful word here.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, here's the terminology we agreed on last time. So the text is not.
I got it.
So yeah, we got trail
I
encroachment,
remember.
which is the distance from the outer edge into the buffer, and then the fragmentation area is the amount that's, you know, orphaned from the greater buffer zone. So if we go back here, this would be, I'm saying that this, what we're now calling the trail encroachment, this line here, I'm beginning to think that, you know, that 5 seems small there, but the area, 5% doesn't seem that unreasonable to me for the area, but I do think that we don't necessarily need them to be mirrored, and I think there's definitely room for us to allow for a greater trail encroachment, but the fragmentation area would always protect us from over, you know, mining or chipping away at the buffer zone.
Go back to that last slide,
Which one? This one?
this one. What if we had encroachment of 20?
Okay.
And fragmentation of 10? Trying to hit middle ground here.
Yeah.
Not knowing what it looks like.
Yeah.
And maybe you bring that to the next meeting.
Yep.
with, all right, how extreme is it with 20 and 10?
So it'd be basically 60 feet encroachment distance,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
But
you,
again, yeah, like, so as we had sort of, yeah,
60
so what I'm
out of,
mentioning is like in this example, because it's like, let's say. This is like 20%, right? So this is like 20% encroachment-ish, based on, you know, how much distance this is. So. This might be more than, you know, this might be more than 5%, or it's probably not, it's not more than 10%, certain, so I guess this would be fine, but, I don't know, what you do is you'd have to like bend this into more of like a, you know, a U, and, you know, more of like a parabola shape and less of a. Like
It's a switchback.
Yeah, exactly, switchback, and I feel like that's a practical application where a switchback could be fine, where it's penetrating by a little bit. And it's the best way for us to get a responsible trail through that area, and it's not really going to. Fragment much out of the buffer.
We are at 8:25.
Okay, yeah. we can
Right.
wrap up.
I mean, a lot of it will also be dictated by slope, you know?
Yeah.
That's why you would have the need to do that in the first place. But I like Wright's idea. You could put a third condition on there, which is no more than 20% of the total trail can incur or encroach into any of that, because we don't talk about.
Well, so remember, we talked about that, and the problem is then it makes it so people can just make the trail longer. Like if you just. Because that logic doesn't work, because let's say you don't want more than 20% of the trail to be in the buffer, you know, somebody could basically, it's like trail length is not much ability, right? You know, we were just talking about cutting a trail in half for ease of trail closing. So somebody could basically add another loop or like a, you know, something onto their trail to make the distance higher, so that suddenly their section in the buffered zone qualifies. So
Yeah.
we talked about it a bit, and I couldn't think of a way that made sense. I initially thought that made sense, and that's what I'd written into this.
Yeah.
I don't think that doing it based on the trail length
Okay.
makes sense, because it just incentivizes people to
Yeah.
create longer trails so that they can do more, you know, damage, so to speak, in the buffered area.
I don't think I was here for that discussion.
Oh, you might have been
I
out
don't
back.
think you were.
I kind of follow that logic. There's not an infinite amount of terrain to work with
It's true,
here
it's true.
to make loop-de-loops. And trail builders don't often put in frivolous stuff.
Yeah.
But, and there's also like this committee ultimately has control over whether they say yes or no.
Yep.
And I think you could say that violates the spirit of.
Yeah, I can see, what are you doing down here? Like creating a bunch of extra
And then
loops?
figure
Yeah, it's
eight
like.
on the way up.
Exactly, it's like more switchbacks at the bottom, so now we have more length, which means we can do more, you know, more incursions at
But
the.
switchbacks happen because of slope and terrain, you know, I mean, and a trail generally is determined mostly by terrain.
And that's fine, I think we encourage that, right? You wanna stick with the terrain, but what we don't wanna see is somebody trying to add stuff in just for the sake of.
Yeah.
Being able to get what they want inside of a buffered area, so. But I think I'm certainly willing to entertain. Wright's proposal. I would love to see a few, and I can try to draw them up like with an actual, I don't know, some kind of math program.
You have,
area of the circle.
I don't fully get it, so I couldn't draw it up, but you kind of get it, the impact. So I'm proposing percentages that I don't completely get.
Yeah, so you were saying 20% up, you know, just for now, because this is,
Distance,
we're saying, yeah, 20% distance and 10% fragmentation, but we would need to see some diagrams. So like, I'm willing to, for next meeting, create some actual diagrams. I'm sure I can find this at least with round zones.
Oh, yeah.
And see if I can just find a program that lets me graph out, like, what does a 10% bite out of a round circle look like? You know,
And
and if we
the-
get a few examples, then.
Then you can distort that circle with that 10% bite out, and it's still gonna be. You can distort the shape, I think, of the circle. You're still gonna have the same area within it. You know what I mean?
I guess, yeah.
Like take a bite out of the cookie, but then pinch the cookie together a little bit, as long as the area stays the same. So
Yeah.
you could show like an irregular.
So my point is, you know, when we did the diagrams, you know, we had, you know, 5 different pictures, right? We had the initial terminology, and then we had a few different practical examples of like, well, here's what, you know, trails in the forest look like. I think we kind of need the same thing for the percentages, where we have an exact like mathematical image of like, here's 10% of a circle, here's 10% of a square, here, you know, so I can play around with that and see. I think I should be able to find some kind of software that lets you
Mhm.
mock up those diagrams. And then I think we'll be able to look at, here's 5 examples of what 10% and 20% look like for area and distance.
Yeah.
And then we can decide, yeah, this looks okay, or, you know, this is too much, or maybe this is too little. You
Your
know?
number 2, Sam, if you can go to, I think that is the most likely scenario.
Yes, this just doesn't have any like,
Yeah, right.
yeah, I agree though. Like this is,
Oh, the switchbacks.
Yeah, like, why would you go? You wouldn't go in if you didn't have to because the trail wasn't telling you to go there.
yes.
You know, like, it's just sometimes that's the slope.
And I'm fine with this. Like, I think this is like, this would be like a responsible trail design, and I think it's well within the buffers that we're talking about. But if this trail went all the way to here and back, that would be a problem, right? So that's what we want to avoid.
It might, I mean, if it had one incursion that was deep like that, I don't know, I mean, you know, if the vast majority of the wildlife corridor is set, then I mean, I think nature adapts to minor incursions like that.
I guess, but if the wildlife corridor
Yeah,
is,
you
like,
kind of
if all
need
of a
it.
sudden they don't want to go through this one little section, does it cease to be a corridor? Because suddenly, like, there's this area that they don't want to cross.
Those are big assumptions by, you know, about some animals for usage by some people some of the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, we don't need to get into all that.
Yeah, I don't think we know one way or the other, but I think we need diagrams before
Yeah.
we can sort of
Yeah.
like make a decision. But I think that the general consensus, you know, or interest seems to be like, let's see if we have a little bit more room to maneuver up from 5, but we need some diagrams
Yeah.
and to give it a little thought. So
Mhm.
for those who think this is high, you know, give it some thought and like, you
Mhm.
know, and I'll create some diagrams for next time, and I'm gonna make sure to write it down on my to-do list. And then we can hopefully finish that discussion next time, and yeah, so, yeah, I think we need to call it there. So we are,
Motion to adjourn,
yeah,
Second that.
Holy
Uh,
cow, it's over.
8:31.
yeah, so we know that the next 2 meetings, we already talked about the 12th, and then our normal scheduled meeting would be on the 26th. So those are our 2 next meetings, both certainly scheduled for 6 to 8:30.
Just
Yes.
the business for upcoming meetings.
Yes.
Could we like review the management plan? Just see where we are. Yeah, we've been spending so much time on B6 that
Yeah. no problem.
forgetting what else is there,
Yeah.
including what needs doing. So my suggestion really is have a generator work plan for what comes after B6.
Yeah,
Priorities, time frame.
yeah.
If possible.
Yeah, because we need to talk about education and
Even identifying where the full draft is right now?
yes, yeah, I don't really know where that is either in a
Um,
while. We have spent so much time.
I saw something that said it's, you know, that I said this is what it is, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't trust myself.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, I don't know if we actually adjourned, so can we, yeah.
We voted to adjourn. We just didn't actually.
All right, move, sorry, so all in favor of adjourning?
I,
Okay, all right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Everybody, thank you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays.
Safe travel.